Hi everyone, welcome back to another gameplay of BTD6. Now in this video I wanted to address a very interesting issue that I just had while commenting with other YouTubers. Now the issue was whether the 205 Blades bomb is stronger or maybe the 025. So what of the two is better? So it's better to go with the middle path upgrade or with the top path upgrade. So I've decided to do some research. I have some pages open. I'm gonna do some math, of course, because the math is always present in these games. And I'm gonna also have it open sandbox, right? You can see I have no monkey knowledge, so I'm not even considering all that. Medium. And let's just take a look at this tower. Now, first of all, I just want to comment about the upgrades. So, bomb blitz in the bottom path, right? With the first upgrade, you're gonna get more range. With the second upgrade, you're gonna have these frag bombs. With the third upgrade, these frag bombs become explosions, right? With the fourth upgrade, these secondary explosions are gonna create a third explosion. And then with the final upgrade, now the fifth one, you're gonna create these explosions always, because the problem is that with this one you just create these tertiary explosions every second shot. With this one now it's always. And then there is the passive that in this case is not really important for the gameplay, so I'm not even gonna consider it. And that's the bottom path. Now what is the difference between getting the bomb 025 or 205? When you go with the middle path upgrade, you're gonna get more attack speed. You can see here 20% more. Then with the second upgrade, you get more attack speed, you get more range, and you get more projectile speed. But unfortunately, it doesn't say by how much. So yeah, with the middle path, with these upgrades, you get pretty much more attack speed. That's the most important thing that you gain. Instead, with the top path, you get more pierce, right, with this one. And you get more damage. So from one layer, the bomb is going to do one layer of damage, right? You're gonna get 2 layers at once. Now I have here opened, before we just jump into the gameplay, alright, some pages. And I find this page right here that is called Advanced Popology. Very interesting. And it's a very technical approach to the game, where you know, damage, pierce, attack speed, by how much every how many seconds, range, and which type of attack is very in detail. You have the cost, probably they are calculated in medium, I think, and what things you gain with the upgrades, and it's very nice. I'm here in the primary tower section, so I'm gonna just go with the bomb. That should be, wait, where is it? It's right here. Yeah, it's right here. Right, so you can find here more details about the range. Now the most important thing is actually looking at the base stats, right? So the bomb is going to attack every 1.5 seconds. It's one attack every 1.5 seconds, 40 of range, 40 units range, and is going to create this explosion on head. This explosion has 1 layer of damage, 18 pierce, so that means they can affect up to 18 balloons if they are caught in the radius of the explosion, and it's an explosion type, so that means that it's gonna not damage black balloons and zebras. And yeah, that's it's pretty simple to show. I'm gonna just pop here a black balloon so you can see the explosion radius. Alright, so all the balloons caught in this explosion are gonna be popped. You can pop up to 18 of them, but they must be caught in the explosion. If you spawn here 18 red balloons, but they're not caught in the explosion, you will not be able to pop them all. If instead here, for example, the spacing is 0, so they're all on top of each other, just one hit is gonna make you able to pop them all. So it's very important considering piercing that works in this radius of the explosion. So with the first upgrade, right, with this one, as Popology says here, you get an extra 10 of pierce. So now the total pierce becomes 28. Yeah, just looking at here now, 28 red balloons. Once again, the explosion is larger, so it can affect a larger area, as you can see. But still, if the balloons are separated enough from one another, you're not going to be able to pop them all. So in order to see it as it really is, you need to have the balloons very, very close to one another, right? Just like that. And that's the first upgrade, so that's the only thing that changes. With the second upgrade, you get one extra layer of damage, as it says here in the description, so it's very easy. So now, instead of destroying one layer with 28 pierce, you destroy 2 layers at once. So if I spawn here 28 blue balloons, you can see that they're popped at once, but because they weren't close enough, they are not popped all at once. In this case, instead, if the spacing is 0, you can pop them at once. If you spawn 28 greens, what happens is that because you pop 2 layers at once, you turn those greens into directly red balloons, and then you destroy the red balloons. Instead, the middle path, right, this one right here, I'm gonna just sell the bomb. I'm gonna replace it exactly as the other one. Here we go. Here you're gonna just get more attack speed. So for the attack speed here, I'm gonna just create 50, right? 50, yeah, rainbows, whatever. So you can see the attack speed works. So you can see that it's one attack every 1.5 seconds. If you get this middle path upgrade, you're gonna get less time. So here is as being calculated 20% faster, considering 1.5 as base is 1.2. So you're gonna have now one attack every 1.2 seconds. And yeah, you can check it out now with the upgrade 010. Now you can see that it's attacking faster. And now the second upgrade is actually a little more complicated, because as it says here, you get that extra attack speed. So from having one attack every 1.2 seconds, now you have one attack every 1.02 seconds. So it's almost one attack for every second. You have 4 more units of range, just slightly more range, and then faster projectile speed. Now this, it's a pretty important factor when you're considering the chance of missing a balloon, right? So not hitting it. But because here I'm placing the bomb very, very close, and there is a straight line before, this projectile speed increase is not really that important. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So now if I spawn once again these 50 rainbows, you're gonna see a little bit more range, as you could see when I got the upgrade, and definitely now the attack speed is better. So it's, as you could see, one attack every almost every second. Everything changes when you start considering the bottom path. All right, so well, I'm gonna just leave aside here the extra range with the frag bombs. All right, and the frags work like this. So they're gonna just fly out from the bomb, and they're gonna fly in a stellar shape. So for example here, no wait, just one. Not 50, just one. So you can see the frags here, right? These are considered as darts, and they're gonna just fly out. So when you get the third upgrade, you get cluster bombs. These frags are replaced by these clusters. Now you can see that these frags are gonna do 1 damage, right? 1 pierce, and they're gonna be shot 8 at once. These clusters are gonna have 2 more of pierce, so 10. And they're going to be explosion, considered as explosion, right? So that's the change. So with frags, you can pop other balloons. With this one, you can't, because these are considered once again as explosion. So you have the primary explosion, and then you have the 8 explosions around it, right? So it's very important that you look at these little details. So central explosion plus the 8 explosions around it. With recursive cluster, what happens is that every other shot, as it says here, you're gonna create another explosion. So you're gonna have the explosion from the basic attack, the explosion from the cluster, and then the explosion from this other cluster. So it's called subcluster or supercluster, it's the same. And now this tertiary explosion is gonna have 1 damage. It's gonna have 60 of pierce. So you can see that we are escalating. So the first explosion is gonna have 18 of pierce. The secondary explosion is going to have 10 pierce. The tertiary explosion is going to have 60 pierce. and yeah, you can see it visually as well here. So that's the first one, and in the second one is gonna, the tertiary explosions are gonna proc. Now you can see all those very small explosions around, but is considered as a single motion. Right, so it says here that visually subcluster shows 8 more explosions, but it's a fact, it's just one large a large one, right? Now it's important noticing this, that if you go with the bomb 205, right, you can see that the cross path means that this subcluster, right, this pierce is gonna gain an extra 60 of pierce. So it's gonna be from 104 to 164. So when you get this pierce increase in the first path, all right, you're gonna, because you keep on adding this 10% pierce, it's not just on the basic bomb, it's gonna be 10 more pierce there, it's gonna be 10 more pierce right here, 10 more pierce right here, and then 10 more pierce right here. So it's you're getting exponentially more pierce. And then also there is here a bug that but I think this has been fixed already, where it wouldn't the regular cluster will not gain it and the second explosion would do. So I don't know if they have fixed this. So now finally into the final upgrade, that is the most important thing for today's video. You can see that the bomb gains 4 layers of damage, so now the total damage becomes 5. It's a normal type, because with the 5th upgrade you can pop now every single balloon type. So you can pop zebras, you can pop black balloons with it, right? So you don't have any more weaknesses, as you're gonna be able to see now. These super clusters are gonna be procced at every shot, so not every other shot as it was for the 4th one, but every shot. And once again, I'm gonna just not consider the ability because it's not important for this thing right now. So now once you have bomb blitz, right, you have a bomb that has 15 pierce, all right, 15 damage, sorry, because it's gonna be 5 damage from the first explosion, 5 damage for the secondary explosion, 5 damage from the tertiary explosion. All right, so from the basic attack, cluster, and super cluster. You can pop all balloon types, alright, as I said before. And now, which of the two paths is better? It's better to go with more pierce and then with more damage, or is better to go with more attack speed? Right? The answer can be simplified as considering these numbers right here, especially the attack speed numbers. Right? So I have here a sticky note. I hope that you guys will be able to see. Yeah, it's pretty small, but I think you should be able to see. So with a 205 bomb, right, we have 6 damage for each explosion, per explosion, right? So that means that you have, at the end of the day, 18 damage. All right, if you consider all the explosions, you have 18 damage. Then we have 28 of pierce, all right, for the first attack, let's just call it like that. So we have 20 of pierce for the first attack. Then we have, as we saw before, 10 pierce for the second cluster, because here, if you remember correctly, we have here the clusters. These clusters are gonna do 10, right, of pierce. So that's 10 plus 10, so that's 20 pierce for the second attack, right? And then we have, yeah, actually it's not attack, it's like explosion. I don't know how to say it. First, let's say first cluster, right? First cluster, second cluster, and then finally the final one is gonna have 60 plus 10, so it's 70 pierce. Third cluster. And then finally we have attack speed. Now the attack speed in all these upgrades, you don't gain anything. So with the bottom path you don't gain attack speed, with the top path you don't gain attack speed. So at the end of the day your attack speed is 1 every 1.5 seconds, all right, as it says that the passive is. So this is gonna stay the same as before. So here I didn't count the total peers, so here the total peers considering all these things should be 118 peers, right, if I counted. And yeah, attack rate is 1 attack every 1.5 seconds. That also could be translated as 0.6 attacks per per second, right, because it's 1 divided 1.5, so you have how many attacks you do in 1 single second. So that's the 205 bomb. Now the 025 bomb, right, is going to instead have 5 damage, right, per explosion, so that's 15. So I'm gonna just write it down already, 15 damage, so it's just faster. Then you have the pierce that is not summed up, so you have the pierce as it's normal, so you have 18 plus 10, that it's 28, plus 60, so that's 88, right, 88 pierce. So I just calculated it just removing 10 from these numbers. And then finally we have here the attack speed, and actually the attack speed changes now because we are boosting it up to 1.2 1 every 1.02 seconds, right, as it says right here. So this is the total attack speed that we gain. So if we divide 1 divided 1.02, it's 0.98 attacks per second. So this is the math, right? So when you attack, when the bomb is going to attack in a real gameplay, right, all these factors are going to be included. Now here I'm not considering the small change in terms of range and in terms of projectile speed, because but I mean it should be considered, because if you remember, if you have a little bit more of pierce with this bomb, that means that you can attack a little bit more, so you can attack for more time, so at the end of the day you should have more damage. So yeah, I know it's not that good considering the small range increase, but it's so small, as you can see here, it's so small that yeah, that's why I'm not really considering, but it should be considered, right? Sorry, where's the sticky bomb? Yeah, here we go. So if we try to calculate the DPS, right, for every single bomb, we have here DPS, all right, is damage per second, and damage per second is calculated as damage, right, for the per the attack speed that the tower has, right? And many people forget that it's also for the pierce that the tower has, because if you have a lot of damage, if you have a lot of attack speed, but you can just damage 1 single balloon at a time, imagine a sniper, right? At the end of the day, your DPS is not gonna be very high, because in a real gameplay, like in champs or anything, you're gonna have many rounds where multiple balloons are gonna be coming at you. So it's better to have area damage, so to have more pierce, be able to damage more balloons, and that's very important considering your total pops. So that's why here I'm also considering pierce. So if we calculate this, right, it's gonna be 18 per 0.66 per the total pierce that is 118. Now we're here a calculator, so I'm gonna just do it very quickly, and the total number is 140,148, but there is a comma right here. All right, so 1.4 thousand, I think it means, yeah. Now let's calculate the DPS for the 025 bomb. Right, so DPS once again is going to be now 15 times 0.98, because the attack speed is much higher, times 88 of pierce. should be 30 less, right? Yeah. Okay, so and this is equal to 88. All right, so it's 1293,6. Now if you consider just these numbers, right, this one and this one, you can see that the 205 bomb, it's better. So the total DPS, the maximum, right, I should say here maximum, so the maximum DPS that the 205 bomb can do is higher than the maximum DPS that the 025 bomb can do. This is just math, right? So I've just calculated the math, but in reality the maximum DPS is never there, right? Because you're never gonna be able to damage with your total, your full amount of pierce every single bloon, right? You're gonna be able to damage maybe half of the bloons with your pierce, so this number just tells us that mathematically the 205 bomb should do more damage than the 025 bomb, right? The maximum DPS. But because reality is much different than math, right? Because we have to apply this math into the reality. I'm gonna reduce this, right? And I'm gonna just do with you some quick tests on sandbox. All right, so I'm gonna have two scenarios. I'm gonna try 025 bomb and 205 bomb without any extra buffs, and then fully buffed. I'm gonna go in those rounds that are very, very important. So I'm not gonna show you here round 40, because for round 40 in chimps you're not gonna have a bomb blitz. All right, I'm gonna show you round 98, right? So it's a pretty hard round in chimps, so it can be a very nice explanation. And then I'm gonna show you around 100. Now what's the difference between these two rounds? That round 100, the BAD is one single bloon, so we can see how strong these towers are against a single bloon, and then how strong they are against a group of bloons, because round 98 has a lot of 45 BFBs, a ton of Zomagats, so we have two total different scenarios, one with a lot of bloons, one with just one bloon. So let's check out. Let's go with round 98 first. No buffs, and let's see the pop 0-0, and let's just count. So I placed the tower right there first, right? This is the 025 bomb. Did I close the sticky notes? Oh no, rip. I'm gonna just open it again. Sticky. Okay, there we go. I'm gonna just open it again because I wanna see it here. I'm gonna just write down the numbers, right? Right. So here some bloons are about to leak, so you can see that the passive of the bomb blitz is gonna proc, right? So that's gonna clean up every bloon in the screen other than Zomagats. Still attacking. I've lost some lives, now here, yeah, I should have taken consideration of the lives lost, but let's just ignore that for a second. So 326,000, right? Bloons pop round 98. Amount of lives lost, I think there is another number right there hidden, so it could be a little bit more than 15,000 probably, or maybe it's just 1.5 thousand. So yeah, I don't know. So I'm gonna just make it simple by just doing this, right? So yeah, you can see all the numbers. Now let's solve this one, right? So remember the pops, right? And let's just take a look now at the 205 bomb. First, same spot, right? So no difference. The round is the same, and yeah, let's go. So I'm gonna actually write down here the pops, right? So it was 329,000, right? Something like that. All right. Let's see now what happens with this bomb. So here the passive should proc once again. Yeah. And yeah, should proc also once again against this. Oh my god, I guess. Is the passive also the bloons pop discounted in the total? I think it's counted, right? It should be counted. Let's see. Yeah, it's counted. So 326,000 also. I think the other bomb had a little bit more than 3.26. I think it was like 0.2 or 0.3, but this one you can already see it is almost identical. So amount of lives lost almost identical, amount of balloons pop almost identical. So the 025 bomb and the 205 bomb are exactly the same, right? For what concerns group balloons. So for what concerns round 98, for example, right? So a lot of balloons coming closer to one another and all that stuff. This number is the same for both, right? So there is no change. So it's one is not better than the other one. They're very, very similar. So let's just sell now. Let's start the same with the BD, as I said before, right? That's the other try. So let's go for the 025 bomb right here. I'm gonna try this time not to let the BAD leak. So around 100, I'm gonna just play around 100, right? So this is gonna be easier. So this is what I said for grouped balloons, right? Grouped balloons round 98. This is the result. So let's see now what happens against round 100 single balloon. 205 bomb is gonna do I'm gonna try here, as I said before, not to let the BAD leak, so I'm not gonna proc any passive. I'm gonna just see at the pops. Alright, and let's see what's gonna stop attacking right now. Right, so it's 67-20, right? So that's the pops. Alright, let's go now with the other bomb. So 205, same spot and same BD. I know these rounds are very long, but that is the only way how you can compare, because without doing stuff like this you can't really compare. No, I think here, yeah, I read it down wrong before. It was before the 025 bomb and then the 204, the 205. I just misplayed the numbers, but at the end of the day it was the same before, so it doesn't really matter. Alright, let's see now. You can see already that this bomb is way far behind. It's struggling against a single balloon. Alright, here, let's see, careful when it's gonna stop attacking. Now, pops 5484. 5484. So we can already see that the situation is completely different once we are talking about a single balloon. So we're talking about few balloons, alright, or isolated balloons, where Pierce is not a factor anymore. You can see that the increased attack speed with the other bomb is actually better, because now this bomb has almost 1.3 thousand more pops than the other one on the BAD. That's a lot of difference. And now what happens if you start considering the buffs? So does anything really change if you start buffing these bombs? So if you have, for example, here a permabrew, actually not a permabrew, I'm gonna go for a permabrew, so the effect, there is no RNG in where exactly the alchemist is gonna give the brew. Okay, village here, right, is in range, yes. 025 bomb, and then finally a overclock. Let's try to place it as far away as possible. Alright, so that is not gonna attack. No, wait, no, 050, just overclock. 4, alright. So let's go again. We run 98 and then run 100, and let's see if there are any differences. So when we are super buffing these bomblets, right, does it have any difference between the 205 upgrade or the 025? Let's find out. So I'm gonna overclock as soon as the tower is gonna start attacking the balloons, right? And then I'm gonna just refresh overclock when it's back on cooldown, right? Okay, so here the first passive has procced, and yeah, we can pretty much ignore the alchemist, right? These pops. Wait, how? 463? Wait, how? How did the alchemist pop so many bloons? I don't know. That's pretty weird. Anyway, here, okay, popping every single bloon. So losing about 114 lives, right? And then pops here 326.8 thousand. Now you can see already that it's very similar to this amount. So without any buff or with super buff, you can see that the total pops is very different. It's very similar. So super buffing a bomb like this one, at least on around like 98, and when you can afford lives, so when you can afford to use the passive or the bomblets, buffing it or not does not really change that much the pops, because now I'm gonna just write it down. Around 98 was 326.8, I think it was, because here, yeah. So let's see if there are any differences if we super buff a 205 bomb, right? So around 98, let's go again, let's reset everything. Oh wait, no, I reset also the round. So I'm gonna just use once again overclock when the bomb's gonna start attacking. Here we go. Yeah, the alchemy is definitely doing a ton of pops, but it should be the same amount of pops as before. So it should this number should be the same. It shouldn't really change. Right, so you could see already that the passive here procced. I think it was a little sooner than the other bomb. And then let's see now. Oops, I forgot overclock. Yeah, I forgot overclock. That was a pretty bad mistake. I didn't apply overclock as soon as it was ready. So this second part may be a little biased. Well, actually, yellow bloon sneak past. Now, amount of lives lost 118. So very similar to the amount of lives the other bomb lost. Bloons popped, like it seems almost exactly the same. So once again, there is no difference between the 205 bomb buffed or the 025 bomb buffed. And you may have already guessed what happens in round 100 is exactly the same as well. So I'm gonna just show it to you just because it's the correct thing to do. But against this round, a super buffed bomb is gonna do less damage than a 025 bomb. So yeah, I'm gonna just show it to you, but it's gonna be like that. Now here, not forgetting to overclock as soon as it's ready. It doesn't matter if it's gonna attack or not the BD. I'm gonna just do it because in this way I can just reproduce it and it can be just equal. And actually I can use overclock a third time. Alright, here we go. I'm gonna not let the BAD leak. I'm gonna see the BAD how many pops before it leaks. And here we go. Alright, so let's destroy it. Let's see the pops, 16.8. So around 100, 205 buffed. 16.8 thousand. And no lives lost, yeah, because I reset. And 205, right? Yeah. So let's go with 025. Same spot. And let's go around 100. So let's reset here everything. I always forget to do that. And let's go. Alright, overclock. And yeah, as I said before, it's gonna be very likely because there isn't much change between buffing or not these towers. Of course, here with the buffs, you're gonna be able to pop more of this BAD. but the proportion between the pops between 0 to 5 bomb and 205 should stay the same. So because before the 0 to 5 bomb was able to pop already more layers, it's very likely that also now that it's buffed, it's gonna be able to pop more from the BD. And yeah, you can already see that this is way more than the other bomb, right? 18, 20,000, maybe 21,000. Yeah, 21,000. So 21, actually 21.1. So 0 to 5 buffed is gonna be 21.1 thousand. So once again, this number it's higher than this one. And so what are the conclusions? The math says that the 205 bomb it's stronger, but because of the fact that realistically when you apply that math on real rounds, so on a single balloon round like round 100, and then on a round that has many balloons like round 98, you can see that actually the two bombs are very similar when there are group balloons, right? As I showed you before, with buffs or without buffs is pretty much the same. But there is a substantial difference instead when the bomb is attacking a single balloon. So for single balloons, it's better the 0 to 5. It's always gonna pop more layers. It's gonna do more damage. So the DPS is higher. Now, my personal opinion about all this is that I still think the 205 bomb may be your choice. Why? For the very simple reason that before you get the 5th upgrade, so the bomblets, you actually have the 4th one. And because of the 4th one, you don't have any increase in damage yet to the explosions, as is going to happen for the bomblets. Getting the extra layer of damage from the top path is going to double your overall damage. So with a 204 bomb, you're going to do double the damage than a 024 bomb can do. Now, of course, a 024 bomb is going to be able to attack faster, so it's not exactly double DPS, but it's higher. So a 204 bomb is going to always be stronger than a 024 bomb against single balloons or against group balloons because of this extra double damage overall. All right, and now because of the fact that you're going to have to wait, of course, until you can afford the bomblets in chimps, you're going to have to defeat a lot of rounds with a recursive cluster. Now, when you're gonna get the bomblets, very likely it's gonna be already about round 80. So round 80 is the last round where you have a single balloon. So if you can achieve the bomblets before round 80, you're gonna be exploiting the extra damage from the 0 to 5 bomb only in round 80 that has one single balloon, and then in round 100. In all the other rounds, as we saw before, when there are multiple balloons and the balloons are grouped, the two bombs are almost identical to one another. They're gonna do the exact same amount of damage. And so, because of the fact that you're gonna need to survive a lot of rounds with a recursive cluster before you can afford the bomblets, I think it's better to get the bomb 205. So in the meantime, right, if you want, you can buff it, you can get the village, overclock, it doesn't really matter. But you're gonna be exploding more the early game damage of the bomb or the medium game damage from the bomb, and then for the bomblets you're gonna only like lose in comparison with the 0 to 5 bomb in round 80 if you can afford this upgrade before round 80, and then in round 100. But very likely in round 100 you're gonna have other towers, you're gonna have another setup, you may have, I don't know, like an alchemist with a 0, maybe 0-2 for village, with another like primary training village in range like this, right? So buffing even more the bomb, with also the how it's called, the activated ability, all right, giving more attack speed and so on. So you can really pretty well compensate that weakness in round 100 against the BD with other towers or with just a correct setup. So that's my personal opinion. I think because of how much you gain with a 204 bomb, it's just better to go with that and then get eventually the bomblets. Yes, it's gonna be slightly weaker in around 80 and 100, but in all the other rounds, the damage, the pops are gonna be very similar. So yeah, that's it guys. So I hope you enjoyed and see ya. Bye bye.